Good morning, students. In the last class, we have discussed about Huygens wave theory and the concept of wavefront and the Huygens principle of constructing wavefront and different types of wavefronts and the refraction and reflection of plane wavefront, Huygens explanation of reflection and refraction with a plane wavefront. Now we discuss Doppler effect. So Doppler effect of light. So as we have studied Doppler effect of sound already. So what is the Doppler effect of sound waves is the apparent change in the frequency of sound due to the relative motion between the source and observer. So that is in the case of sound waves. Similarly, light is also wave. So similar phenomena is observed in case of light waves also. So the Doppler effect of light means the apparent change in frequency of the light waves due to the apparent change in the frequency of light source due to the relative motion between the source and observer. So in the case of the main difference between the Doppler effect of light waves and Doppler effect of sound waves is in the case of sound waves, the velocity of sound is about 330 meter per second and the velocity of the source and observer are to be about in the range about 30 meter per second. That means even if you consider a velocity of 108 kilometer per hour means it is equal to 30 kilometers. That means 110. So these are the possible velocities. So here we can compare the velocities of both a source and observer with the velocity of light. But in the case of light waves, the velocity of light in air is about 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second. And that of these sources will be 330 meter per second. So that means if you compare the velocity of light with respect to the velocity of source and observer, it is very large. That means Vs and Vo are very less than velocity of light. So that is the main difference between the Doppler effect of sound waves and Doppler effect of light waves. For this particular case, now already we have derived the apparent frequency, expression for apparent frequency in case of sound waves, and the relation we have derived is n dash is equal to n into 1 V plus or minus Vo by V plus or minus Vs. This is the expression for the apparent frequency in the case of sound waves, where n dash is the apparent frequency, n is the original frequency or natural frequency. Here V is the velocity of sound, velocity of observer, velocity of the source. So these plus and minus, according to sign convention, we take plus and minus. So the apparent frequency increases in 3 cases and decreases in 3 cases. The apparent frequency increases in 3 cases is, first one is source moves towards a stationary observer. Source moves towards stationary observer, or second case, observer moves towards stationary source, and third case, both source and observer move towards each other. That means in these 3 cases there is an apparent increase in the frequency, but apparent decrease in frequency is observed in 3 cases. That source moves away from stationary observer, and observer moves away from stationary source. Both move away from each other. So in these three cases, there is an apparent increase in frequency, and in these three cases, there is an apparent decrease in frequency, as we have derived this in the case of sound waves. But the difference in light waves, the Doppler effect in light waves is, here we consider both whether source is moving or observer is moving, we treat them as single end. There is no difference whether source moves or observer moves, because both the velocities are very small compared to the velocity of light. So that's why we consider that whether source is moving or observer is moving, we take the same effect, or we take the same consideration. So the apparent frequency in the case of light waves is n dash is equal to n into c by c minus Vs, where c is the velocity of light in the medium, air medium, if you consider, and c minus v is velocity of the source or observer, whatever it is. Assume that source is moving towards the stationary observer. In that case, we have this relation as n dash is equal to n is equal to c by c minus v. Now, this equation can be written as n into, if you divide with the numerator and denominator with c, this is 1 divided by 1 minus v by c. And this is equal to n into 1 minus v by c to the power minus 1, and that equal to n into 1 plus v by c plus v square by c square, etc. So we can neglect the higher powers as c value is large. So n dash is equal to n into 1 plus v by c. Okay, that is n dash is equal to n into n plus v by c. That is n dash minus n equal to n into v by c, and we can take it as delta n is equal to n into v by c. That is delta n by n is equal to v by c. So for calculations, we take this relation as delta n by n is equal to v by c, where v is the velocity component along the line joining the source and observer. So with this relation, we can say that if the apparent frequency appears and this formula is applicable when the velocity of source and observer are very small compared to the velocity of light. If the velocity of light, velocity of these bodies are comparable with the velocity of light, then we can derive expression for the Doppler effect, apparent frequency of the source, by relativistic, by theory of special theory of relativity, and I am not going to derive that equation. By that we can derive that n dash is equal to n into square root of c plus v by c minus v when both move towards each other, and n dash is equal to n into square root of c minus v by c plus v when both move away from each other. So this expression is used when this velocity of source and observer are very small compared to the velocity of light. When they are comparable with the velocity of light, then we have to use this relation, we have to take this relation n dash equal to n into c plus v by c minus v when both are moving towards each other, n dash equal to n into c minus v by c plus v when both are moving away from each other. So if both source or observer are both are moving towards each other, there is an apparent increase in the frequency of the source of light. So due to this increase in the apparent frequency, there is a decrease in the apparent wavelength, because we know C equal to nu lambda, so nu equal to C by lambda. That means when there is an apparent increase in the frequency, correspondingly there is an apparent decrease in the frequency. Suppose if both source and observer are moving away from each other, then there is an apparent decrease in frequency, correspondingly there is an increase in apparent wavelength. So when there is a decrease in the apparent wavelength or apparent frequency, so there is a decrease in when there is a decrease in the apparent frequency or apparent change in frequency decrease, then there is an increase in the apparent change in wavelength. So in that case, if you consider the visible spectrum, increase in change in the visible spectrum, we have red is at the upper top highest wavelength and violet has lower wavelength, blue, green, like this we observe. So if we consider the visible region of the spectrum, as there is an increase in apparent increase in wavelength, means increasing means it is tending towards the red side of the spectrum. That means this is called red shift. That means if there is an increase in the apparent wavelength or apparent change in wavelength is increased, then the visible spectrum, it tends towards the red side of the spectrum, and this is called red shift. And similarly, if there is a decrease in the apparent change in wavelength, there is a decrease in wavelength means it tends towards the blue side of the spectrum or violet side of the spectrum. It is called blue shift or violet shift. Okay. Now, the next topic of our present chapter is interference. So, before going to the interference, first we have to recollect our definitions. First one is phase. Phase means in the last class we have discussed about the phase. Phase gives the vibrating state of the particle executing simple harmonic motion with reference to displacement or direction. Okay, particularly we can say it is displacement and direction. So phase. And now when two particles are vibrating in same phase, means the phase difference between them is either 0 or even multiple of pi. Now I have already explained about this also. So when two particles are vibrating in same phase, means their phase difference between them is either 0 or even multiple of pi. If the phase difference, if two particles are vibrating out of phase, means their phase difference is odd multiple of pi. Okay. So when two particles are vibrating in same phase, means their phase difference is even multiple of pi. When two particles vibrating out of phase, means phase out, means their phase difference is odd multiple of pi. Okay. What is main difference between these two is, if they are vibrating in same phase, means their vibrating states are exactly same. That means, and where they are out of phase, means the vibrating states of them are exactly in opposite sense. Okay. Now we have derived a condition that, as we know, two particles vibrating in same phase and a wave passes through a medium, they are separated by a linear distance equal to wavelength. That means if two particles are separated by a distance lambda, then the phase difference between them is 2 pi. Or if two particles are vibrating in same phase, means they are separated by suppose they are separated by a distance lambda. Okay, that means two particles separated by 1 meter distance, their phase difference is 2 pi by lambda, because for lambda distance the phase difference is 2 pi, for 1 meter distance it is 2 pi by lambda, for x meter distance it is 2 pi by lambda into x. So from this we have derived the relation that phase difference is equal to 2 pi by lambda into path difference, or delta phi is equal to 2 pi by lambda into delta x. So we have this relation also. So phase difference is equal to 2 pi by lambda into path difference. Now another one definition we familiarly come across in this topic is intensity of light. Now intensity of light intensity of light is defined as the amount of light energy transmitted through unit surface area normal to the surface in unit time. That means if you consider an area like this of 1 square meter or 1 square centimeter, whatever it is, unit area, and the amount of light energy passing through this particular area in unit time, that means in 1 second or 1 minute, whatever it is, in unit time. So that is defined as intensity of light. So intensity of light is the amount of light energy transmitted through a unit surface area normal to this area in unit time. So here in our wave optics, in place of light energy we use the term intensity of light. So throughout our discussion we use intensity of light, means you have to remember it is light energy. Okay, so it is light energy per unit area per unit time. So that it is intensity of light energy. So intensity of light energy is proportional to square of the amplitude of the wave. So mathematically we take the intensity as proportional to square of the amplitude of the light wave. Okay, intensity of light wave means square of the amplitude of the light wave. Now suppose a particle in the medium, actually we know a wave means a disturbance that propagates through a medium with the simple harmonic motion of the particles of the medium about their mean positions, and that disturbance propagates through transmits to the next particle, and that to the next particle, and that to the next particle. So whenever a particular disturbance reaches a particular point in a medium, then this particular particle starts executing simple harmonic motion, and its displacement is given by y is equal to a sin omega t. As we know, the displacement of a particle in SHM is given by, usually we take it as y is equal to a sin omega t. Now suppose assume that a disturbance created in the medium, due to the disturbance this particular particle executes simple harmonic motion with a displacement given by y1 is equal to a1 sin omega 1 t. Assume that a disturbance reaches a point P in a particular medium, so that the particle starts executing simple harmonic motion with a displacement given by y1 is equal to a1 sin omega t. Suppose in absence of this particular disturbance, another disturbance reaches this particular point. Suppose this is in this direction. Suppose another disturbance reaches the same point in absence of this particular disturbance. That means only one disturbance reaches this particular point, so that even that case also that particular particle executes simple harmonic motion, and the displacement may be different from this. So that is, we take it as y2 is equal to a sine omega 2t. So that means in absence of other one, the displacements produced by the disturbance to this particular particle is given by these two equations. Assume that both the disturbances simultaneously reach that particular point. That means at the same time both these disturbances reach the particular point P in the medium simultaneously. Then the resultant displacement of the particle is given by y is equal to y1 plus y2. That means the resultant of these two particles is the sum of these two disturbances or sum of these two displacements. And this principle is called principle of superposition of waves. And this is called principle of superposition of waves. What this principle states is, if two or more waves acted upon a particle simultaneously, then the resultant displacement of the particle is the algebraic sum of the individual displacements. It means if a particle in a medium is acted upon by two or more number of waves simultaneously, then the resultant displacement is given by the algebraic sum of the individual displacements. That means y is equal to y1 plus y2 plus y3 plus yn, etc. And this is called principle of superposition of waves. Okay, now we can consider some examples. First example, we take an example like this. Superposition of two waves of different amplitudes vibrating in same phase. Now, superposition of two waves of different amplitudes vibrating in same phase. So, as we know, the simple harmonic motion, the displacement of the particle is given by y is equal to a sine omega t. In this, a is amplitude and omega t is phase. Okay, as we know. So, here the case is superposition of two waves of different amplitudes vibrating in same phase. That means the displacement of these two waves are represented by y1 is equal to, assume that a1 sine omega t, y2 is equal to a2 sine omega t. Because amplitudes are different, phases same. So, we can represent those two vibrations like this, y1 equal to a1 sine omega t, y2 is equal to a2 sine omega t. Now, by the principle of superposition, the resultant displacement is given by y is equal to y1 plus y2, that is a1 sine omega t plus a2 sine omega t. That means a1 plus a2 of sine omega t. Now if you observe this, that means the resultant wave is also simple harmonic with an amplitude equal to a1 plus a2 vibrating in same phase. That means if we represent it by graphically, that is, this is y1, assume that this is y1, and another wave, this is y2, that means this is a2 and this is a1, this is a1 and this is a2. So because they are in same phase means here we have to mathematically we represent like this. Here same phase means whenever the first wave takes 0 value, the second wave, second displacement, second one displacement is also 0. Whenever the first one has maximum value, second one also has the maximum value. Again whenever it has 0 value, again second one also possesses 0 value. That means they take the same similar values at similar intervals. So we can represent like this. But now the displacement, resultant displacement is a1 plus a2 sin omega t. That means resultant is also in same phase omega t. That means it is like this. That means this particular value is a1 plus a2. That means this is a1 plus a2. That means superposition of two waves of different amplitudes vibrating in same phase. As a result, the resultant displacement, what change we have observed here is, it is while there is no change in its phase, but its amplitude is increased. Amplitude is increased means its intensity of the resultant wave increases as it is a1 plus a2 whole square. Because intensity is proportional to square of the amplitude, so I is proportional to a1 plus a2 whole square. Whereas in the individual cases we have a1 square and a2 square. Okay, now if we consider the second case, superposition of two waves of different amplitudes vibrating phase out or vibrating out of phase. Now in this case, a superposition of two waves of different amplitudes vibrating in phase out. In that case, we can represent as y1 equal to a1 sin omega t, y2 is equal to a2 sin omega t minus pi or plus pi, whatever it is, difference is pi. Now this can be written as sin omega t minus pi is cos omega t, so this can be written as minus a2 sin omega t. Sorry, omega t minus pi is sin omega minus sin omega t. So two waves of different amplitudes vibrating in out of phase can be represented by a1 sin omega t and another one is a2 minus a2 sin omega t because they are out of phase. Now by principle of superposition, the resultant displacement is given by y1 plus y2, that is a1 sin omega t minus a2 sin omega t, that is a1 minus a2 sin omega t. Now in this case, the resultant displacement is a1 minus a2 sin omega t. That means a1, a2 are the individual displacement, individual amplitudes, then the resultant amplitude is a1 minus a2. That means the resultant intensity is proportional to a1 minus a2 whole square. And we represent it by graphically as, suppose this is a1, that is y1, and this is a1. And as a2 is out of phase, it is represented like this. This is y2 and this is A2. Now the resultant is A1 minus A2. That means it is less than A1, so this is the resultant. This is A1 minus A2. So if we observe both these two cases, if the superposition of two waves which are vibrating in same phase gives increase in amplitude, and the superposition of waves which are vibrating out of phase gives a decrease in amplitude. Okay, that means due to the superposition of two waves of same phase, there is an increase in intensity and there is a decrease in intensity when they are phased out by pi. So that means due to the superposition of waves, depending upon the phase difference between these two vibrations, either there is an increase in intensity or maybe decrease in intensity. So this change or modification in the intensity due to the superposition of the waves is called interference. So interference is the modification of intensity of light due to the superposition of waves is called interference. Okay, so interference means the modification in the intensity due to the superposition of waves in the region of superposition. Okay, if we take the special case, suppose if A1 equal to 8, that means superposition of two waves of same amplitude vibrating in same phase means this equal to 2A whole square, because A1 plus A whole square, that is 4A square, and if they are phased out, then A1 and A2 are equal means intensity becomes 0. That means superposition of two waves of same amplitude, same phase, there is an increase in the intensity by 4A square. And if the superposition of two waves of same amplitudes vibrating out of phase, the intensity becomes 0. Here in the case of light, intensity is 0 means darkness. That means there is no light in that region, means it is dark region. So by this we can say light plus light is more light, light plus light is no light. Okay, it depends upon phase. So this is the phenomena of interference. So now we can say interference is the modification in the intensity of light, or interference of light is the modification of intensity of light in the region of superposition.